The story begins on the planet Clithor, the heart of the Calorith Empire, a sprawling authoritarian regime spanning hundreds of star systems. The Calorith are a biologically and technologically advanced alien race known for their hive-mind societal structure, rigid class hierarchy, and brutal suppression of dissent. The Empire recently conquered a small human colony, Eridani Prime, where they discovered humanity, a species previously unknown in the galactic stage. One among the captured humans, Captain Elena Travers, is brought to Clithor as a prisoner for interrogation. The Calorith underestimated her, assuming she was just another primitive being. Elena is presented before Velix Prime, the central hive leader of the Empire, during a public tribunal broadcast across the Empire. As her crimes against the Empire are read aloud, resistance, sabotage, and destruction of Imperial property, Elena boldly interrupts, declaring, "You think your empire is unshakable, but empires have fallen before. You'll remember this day as the beginning of your end." The Calorith audience is stunned. Their society values absolute order and submission. Defiance like this is unthinkable. Velix Prime, more intrigued than angered, decides to imprison Elena rather than execute her. She is sent to the Deep Void Penitentiary, a maximum security prison for dangerous criminals, surrounded by a black hole. Inside the prison, Elena meets other captives from conquered worlds who are broken and resigned. She begins studying the Empire's culture, learning their weaknesses. Her determination sparks curiosity in a small group of prisoners, including the Gracarnian inventor Kellic and the telepathic Zenari empath Salo. Meanwhile, Calorith propaganda twists Elena's defiance into a warning to other species, calling her the mad human and a symbol of chaos. But cracks appear in the hive-mind unity, with some Calorith secretly admiring her courage. The part ends with Elena carving a map of the prison's layout into the wall of her cell, whispering to herself, "Every empire begins its fall with a single crack." Shall I continue or modify anything before proceeding? Deep Void Penitentiary is a fortress of despair. It orbits dangerously close to the black hole Raikonate, with its immense gravitational pull serving as the ultimate barrier to escape. The prisoners are kept under constant surveillance by Calorith drones and wardens, ensuring no one dreams of rebellion. Inside her cell, Elena continues to map the prison's layout based on observations and snippets of overheard conversations. She notices something crucial: the wardens and drones rely on a shared neural network, the Calorith hive mind, to communicate and coordinate. If that network is disrupted, the system could falter. Elena's defiance begins to draw attention from the other prisoners. Kellic, the Gracarnian inventor, is the first to approach her. His people were subjugated decades ago, and he spent most of his life in the penitentiary. Though initially skeptical, he's impressed by Elena's resourcefulness. "You're not like the others," Kellic remarks one day, his claws tinkering with a broken drone he scavenged. "You still believe there's a way out of this place? What makes you so sure?" "I don't believe." "I know," Elena replies. "Empires fall because they always underestimate the will of the oppressed. The Calorith think they're invincible, but they're not. They've never faced someone who'll risk everything to prove it." Kellic agrees to help, providing Elena with technical knowledge of the Calorith's neural systems. Together, they devise a plan to disable the warden's hive-mind link temporarily, long enough to create chaos in the prison. Meanwhile, Elena's defiant spirit begins to inspire others. Salo, the Zenari empath, joins them after sensing her unwavering resolve. Salo's abilities allow her to read emotions and subtly manipulate the mental states of others. She offers to use her powers to sow doubt and confusion among the Calorith guards. As their small alliance grows, Elena learns more about the prisoners' stories: families lost, worlds destroyed, and spirits crushed under the Empire's boot. She becomes their beacon of hope, not through speeches but through quiet determination and action. Their first test comes when a Calorith warden singles out Kellic for interrogation, suspecting him of tampering with the prison systems. Elena steps in, causing a scene to distract the warden. Despite her smaller stature, she fearlessly confronts the towering alien. "I've seen things far scarier than you," she says coldly, glaring up at the warden. "Take me instead." The warden hesitates, a rare moment of indecision for a species conditioned to obey the hive mind without question. The interruption allows Salo to subtly nudge the warden's emotions, amplifying their doubt. Kellic escapes punishment, and the Alliance deepens their trust in Elena. As they return to their cells, Kellic pulls Elena aside. "You didn't have to do that," he says, visibly shaken. "Yes, I did," she replies. "This isn't just about escape. It's about showing them they don't own us. They can't break what they don't understand." The part ends with Elena, Kellic, and Salo standing in the shadowy corridor of the cell block. Elena holds up a crudely sketched device Kellic has crafted from scavenged materials, a jammer to disrupt the hive mind link. "This is just the first crack," Elena says, her voice steady. "The rest of the Empire will follow." Elena, Kellic, and Salo finalize their plan to test the jammer. It's crude and cobbled together from spare parts stolen during maintenance shifts, but Kellic is confident it can disrupt the hive mind link for at least a few seconds. The challenge isn't just building the device, it's deploying it without detection. The penitentiary's guards, drones, and surveillance systems make every move a risk. Failure means death or worse, neural reprogramming, a fate that turns prisoners into hollow shells. The trio decides the best place to test the jammer is the waste processing sector, an isolated area where malfunctions wouldn't immediately alert central control. Elena volunteers to plant the device. "You sure about this?" Kellic asks as he hands her the jammer. "If they catch you?" "They won't," Elena says, cutting him off. Her calm confidence is unshakable. Besides, someone has to show them we're not just waiting to die here. As the others create distractions, a staged argument among prisoners to divert guards, Elena slips through the corridors, the jammer hidden beneath her tattered prison uniform. The air in the processing sector is thick with the acrid stench of chemicals, and the hum of machines drowns out faint noises. Elena carefully places the jammer on a key neural relay node, a pulsating orb of Calorith biotech embedded in the wall. With a quick adjustment, she activates the device. For a brief moment, the effect is staggering. The nearby guards and drones freeze mid-action, their glowing eyes flickering. One warden, a towering Calorith with gleaming armor, clutches its head, emitting a distorted screech. But the disruption is short-lived. The jammer burns out after only 10 seconds, sending a cascade of sparks and smoke. Elena's heart pounds as she ducks into the shadows, narrowly avoiding detection when the system reboots. Back in their cell block, Kellic and Salo anxiously await her return. When Elena finally appears, a smirk on her face, Kellic breathes a sigh of relief. "It worked," she says simply. "Not perfectly, but it worked." Kellic's eyes gleam with excitement. "I can improve it. Give me 2 days." But Salo is more cautious. "They'll know something happened. The hive mind doesn't miss disruptions like this. We need to be ready for retaliation." Their fears are confirmed the next morning. The guards are on high alert, conducting random interrogations and cell searches. The warden Elena had disrupted seems particularly agitated, its usually controlled movements erratic and jerky. It storms into their cell block, demanding answers. Elena, Kellic, and Salo remain silent, but tension hangs thick in the air. When one of the guards begins dragging a frail, elderly prisoner toward an interrogation chamber, Elena acts. "Wait," she says loudly, stepping forward. The entire cell block falls silent. Prisoners watch in stunned disbelief as Elena confronts the warden. "You want answers?" she continues, her voice steady despite the danger. "Interrogate me. I've got plenty to say." The warden looms over her, its chitinous form radiating menace. For a moment, it seems ready to strike her down. But Salo, sensing the warden's growing instability, subtly manipulates its emotions again, amplifying doubt and confusion. "You are insignificant," the warden hisses, its voice faltering. "But you will answer to Felix Prime." Elena is taken to isolation, but not before exchanging a meaningful glance with Kellic and Salo. The unspoken message is clear: continue the work. As Elena sits in the cold, sterile isolation chamber, she reflects on her next move. She knows she's gained the attention of Felix Prime once more, but this is exactly what she wanted. Meanwhile, back in the cell block, Kellic works furiously on refining the jammer, while Salo begins subtly rallying more prisoners to their cause. Word of Elena's defiance spreads, and for the first time in years, the prisoners begin to believe that escape, and rebellion, might be possible. The part ends with Elena staring at the blank walls of her cell, her hands clenched into fists. If Felix Prime wants answers, she mutters to herself, then I'll make them regret asking. Elena's time in isolation is brutal but calculated. Felix Prime, the omnipresent hive leader of the Calorith Empire, watches her through the neural monitoring systems embedded in the walls. The isolation chamber is designed to break prisoners by exposing them to disorienting psychological attacks, projected visions of their failures, distorted voices of loved ones begging for surrender. But Elena remains unbroken. She uses the solitude to prepare, visualizing escape scenarios and anticipating the Empire's next move. Her determination, even under such conditions, begins to disrupt the hive mind's control over the Calorith guards monitoring her. Meanwhile, back in the cell block, the rebellion gains traction. Kellic's refined jammer can now hold a disruption for nearly a minute, a significant improvement. Salo quietly manipulates the emotions of hesitant prisoners, planting seeds of courage and defiance. One of their new recruits, a towering, reptilian Vezir named Coral, promises to use his strength to overpower the guards during their eventual breakout. The prisoners form a loose network of conspirators, communicating in whispers and coded gestures during work shifts. Kellic, ever the skeptic, warns Salo. Desperation makes people unpredictable. Are you sure they won't turn on us? They won't, Salo replies, her empathic senses tuned to the fragile yet growing hope within the prisoners. They believe in her, Elena. It's strange, she's not Calorith, not hive-minded, yet she's creating unity in a way they never expected. Their plans take a dangerous turn when one of the newer recruits, a jittery insectoid prisoner named Dryvac, is caught with stolen components. Under interrogation, Dryvac cracks, revealing snippets of the rebellion's plans. The warden, now erratic and unhinged from its disrupted neural link, orders an immediate lockdown of the prison. Drones swarm the cell block, and several prisoners are dragged away for questioning. Among them is Coral, the Vezir who had pledged his loyalty to the rebellion. The group is thrown into disarray, their momentum faltering. Kellic is despondent, convinced that Dryvac's betrayal has doomed them. It's over, he says, slamming a clawed hand against the wall of their shared cell. They'll root us out one by one. But Salo refuses to give up. Elena wouldn't stop. Neither should we. Just as their morale begins to waver, Elena returns. Her isolation is cut short when Felix Prime orders her to appear before the warden for another public interrogation. She's escorted back to the cell block, bruised but defiant, her sharp eyes scanning the area for signs of her allies. The warden addresses the prisoners in a booming, distorted voice, attempting to reassert dominance over the cell block. This human believes she can defy the Empire. She has poisoned your minds with her chaos. But she will be broken, as all must submit to the hive. Elena, standing in the center of the cell block, interrupts the warden with a loud laugh. You keep saying that, but I'm still here. You're afraid. I can see it in the cracks. And guess what? So can they. Her words ignite something within the prisoners. Even those who had been silent begin to murmur. The Calorith warden, its connection to the hive mind still unstable, hesitates, its authority fraying. That hesitation gives Salo just enough room to act. Using her empathic abilities, she amplifies the prisoner's growing resolve and subtly nudges the warden's lingering doubts. The effect ripples through the cell block, prisoners stand taller, their chains of despair breaking, while the warden's movements grow erratic, its booming voice faltering. In the chaos, Kellic uses the moment to test the new jammer. The device's activation is almost imperceptible, a faint hum, but the result is dramatic. Drones drop from the air, and the warden collapses to its knees, clutching its head. Now! Elena shouts. The prisoners erupt into action. Coral, despite his injuries from interrogation, breaks free from his restraints and hurls a downed drone into a guard. Salo and Kellic lead smaller groups to secure makeshift weapons from maintenance areas. Elena confronts the warden directly. Though she's far smaller and weaker, she uses its neural instability to her advantage. Ducking and weaving past its sluggish strikes, she delivers a decisive blow to its neural relay port, a weak point Kellic had pointed out. The warden collapses, its connection to the hive severed. The rebellion has officially begun. As the prisoners regroup, Elena addresses them, her voice firm and commanding. This is just the start. We've taken the first step, but we're not free yet. If we want to escape, if we want to make them pay, we have to be stronger, smarter, and more united than they've ever imagined. The part ends with the prisoners standing together, their chains metaphorically shattered, as alarms blare throughout the penitentiary. For the first time, they believe they might actually have a chance. The alarms scream across Deep Void Penitentiary, signaling the rebellion's outbreak. Calorith drones and guards mobilize instantly, their hive mind network working overtime to suppress the uprising. However, the ripple effects of Kellic's jammer create fractures in their coordination, buying the prisoners precious moments to act. Elena, now the clear leader of the rebellion, wastes no time. We've got one shot at this, she shouts, rallying the prisoners in the chaos. Stick to the plan, disable the guards, secure the escape routes, and keep moving. Salo's empathic abilities are critical during the melee. She detects prisoners who are on the verge of panic and floods their minds with courage, while subtly sowing doubt and fear among the Calorith guards. Her influence turns an initially chaotic mob into a cohesive fighting force, armed with scavenged tools and pieces of broken drones. Kellic leads a smaller team to the penitentiary's control center, where the central systems governing the prison's defenses are housed. Despite his gruff exterior, he feels the weight of responsibility. The jammer in his claws, now enhanced with backup power cells, must be deployed near the main relay to cause a facility-wide disruption. You're sure this'll work? One of the prisoners asks nervously as they navigate maintenance tunnels. It'll work, Kellic growls, though he knows the risk. The jammer's feedback could attract the attention of Velix Prime itself, a gamble that may cost them everything. Meanwhile, Elena, Salo, and Coral spearhead the main assault on the hangar bay, where a fleet of Calorith transport vessels is docked. The hangar is heavily guarded, with automated turrets and elite wardens awaiting them. Elena devises a daring strategy. Coral and a group of stronger prisoners will create a diversion by attacking head-on, drawing the guards' fire. Meanwhile, Elena and Salo sneak around to disable the turrets and open the hangar doors. Are you always this reckless? Salo asks as they crawl through the ventilation ducts, the vibrations of gunfire shaking the metal around them. Only when it counts, Elena replies with a grin. The pair emerges into the hangar's control room, where they encounter two Calorith technicians monitoring the battle. Elena takes them out swiftly and efficiently, her movements a mix of military training and pure survival instinct. Salo works on the controls, using her empathic senses to predict the optimal sequences to override the hangar's security systems. Below, Coral fights like a berserker. Despite his injuries, he takes down multiple drones and guards, his roars of defiance echoing through the hangar. His bravery inspires the other prisoners, who press forward despite overwhelming odds. At the same time, Kellic and his team reach the control center. The place is a labyrinth of alien biotech, pulsing with energy. Kellic locates the main relay and carefully places the jammer. He hesitates for a moment, knowing that activating it will draw every remaining guard in the prison to their location. Do it, one of his team urges. With a deep breath, Kellic activates the jammer. The effect is immediate. Throughout the prison, Calorith guards falter as their hive mind link shatters. Drones crash to the ground, their systems overloaded. The warden in the hangar collapses mid-battle, giving Coral and the others a critical advantage. But the jammer's power surge triggers an unintended consequence. The black hole's gravitational field begins to destabilize, causing the prison's orbit to wobble. the entire facility groans under the strain, lights flickering as emergency protocols activate. In the hangar, Elena and Salo manage to open the doors just as Kellick's message comes through on a stolen comm unit. "You've got minutes before this place collapses. Get everyone out." Elena grabs the comm. "You're not coming?" "I'll hold them off here," Kellick replies. "Someone has to make sure they don't stop the jammer." "You've got this, Travers." Elena clenches her jaw, anger and respect warring within her. "We'll come back for you." "No promises," Kellick mutters before cutting the line. The prisoners pour into the hangar, commandeering the Calorith transport vessels. Elena and Salo oversee the evacuation, ensuring even the weakest prisoners make it aboard. Coral, battered but grinning, lifts a fallen prisoner onto his shoulder and carries them to safety. As the first transport ship takes off, the prison begins to collapse. Debris rains down as the black hole's pull intensifies. Elena is the last to board the final vessel, her eyes scanning the chaos for any sign of Kellick. The part ends with the transport soaring away from the crumbling prison, the black hole consuming it in a fiery implosion. Elena stands at the viewport, her fists clenched. "We're free," Salo says softly, standing beside her. "Not yet," Elena replies, her gaze hard and unyielding. "This was just the first battle. The Empire will come for us." And with that, the stage is set for the rebellion's next move. The stolen Calorith transports hurtle through uncharted space, the prisoners aboard quiet and tense. Though the sight of Deep Void Penitentiary collapsing into the black hole had been triumphant, the reality of their situation weighs heavily. They are fugitives, hunted by the most powerful empire in the galaxy. Elena stands on the bridge of the lead transport, her focus on the navigation console. Salo is beside her, monitoring the prisoners who crowd the makeshift medbay and sleeping quarters. "We can't keep running forever," Salo says, her empathic abilities sensing the growing unrest among the escapees. "They're scared, Elena. They need more than freedom, they need direction." Elena nods, but her mind is elsewhere. "We'll find a place to regroup. Somewhere the Calorith won't expect." Coral, still battered but exuding his usual bravado, enters the bridge. "Good news," he says, his voice gruff. "We've got enough power to jump to the nearby Drelix Nebula. It's a mess of gas and radiation, perfect for hiding." Elena considers the plan. "Do it. But keep the comms silent. The Calorith will be hunting for any signal." As the ships prepare for the jump, Elena takes a moment to address the prisoners. Standing in the main hold of the lead transport, she speaks to the hundreds of eyes fixed on her. "I know you're scared," she begins. "I know some of you think we traded one prison for another. But I need you to understand, we didn't just escape. We sent a message. The Calorith think they're untouchable, that their hive mind makes them invincible. We proved them wrong." Her voice rises with determination. "This isn't just about us anymore. Every one of you has lost something to their empire, families, homes, freedom. If we keep running, they'll never stop hunting us. But if we stand together, we can make them pay. We can tear down the hive from the inside." The hold falls silent, but the shift in the prisoner's emotions is palpable. Salo watches from the shadows, her empathic senses confirming what she already knew: Elena has sparked something greater than survival. The fleet arrives in the Drelix Nebula, a swirling maelstrom of ionized gases and gravitational anomalies. The ships settle into a concealed position within an asteroid field, using the natural radiation to mask their signatures. Elena immediately begins organizing the prisoners. Those with technical skills, like Kellick's fellow tinkerers, are tasked with modifying the stolen transports for future combat. Others with military or survival experience train the less skilled prisoners in basic tactics. Coral takes charge of the burgeoning militia, his booming voice and imposing presence a source of both fear and motivation. "You'll learn to fight, or you'll learn to fall," he growls during the first drill. Salo, meanwhile, works to maintain morale. She helps the weaker and more traumatized prisoners find purpose, subtly nudging their emotions to foster hope. Her presence becomes as vital as any weapon or strategy. But Elena is restless. She spends hours poring over stolen Calorith data, searching for weaknesses in the Empire's structure. The loss of Kellic weighs heavily on her, and she's determined not to lose anyone else. One night, as she stares at a holographic map of the Calorith core systems, Salo approaches. "You're burning yourself out," she says softly. "I don't have time for rest," Elena replies. "The Calorith will regroup. They'll come for us." "They will," Salo agrees. "But you're not alone in this. Let us carry some of the weight." Elena looks at her, the usual fire in her eyes dimmed by exhaustion. "If I let them down, if I make a mistake." "They'll follow you anyway," Salo interrupts. "Not because you're perfect, but because you've given them hope. Don't forget that. Their respite doesn't last long." A Calorith scout vessel breaches the nebula's edge, its sensors skimming dangerously close to the asteroid field. Elena doesn't hesitate. "We can't let them report back. Coral, take a team and disable that ship." "Quietly." Coral grins, grabbing a group of the best-trained prisoners and launching in a modified transport. They intercept the scout vessel in the nebula's dense fog, using their knowledge of the terrain to stay undetected. The operation is quick and brutal. Coral's team breaches the scout ship, disabling its communications and eliminating the crew before they can send a distress signal. They return victorious, towing the captured vessel behind them. Back in the asteroid field, Elena studies the scout ship's data. Among the reports, she finds something chilling. The Calorith have begun deploying new hunter drones, equipped with advanced tracking capabilities. "They're adapting," she mutters. "Then so will we," Salo says firmly. Elena's gaze hardens. "No more running. We need to strike first. We'll use this scout ship to infiltrate one of their forward outposts. If we can take their resources and cripple their network, we might have a chance to stay ahead of them." The part ends with Elena standing before the prisoners once more, her voice strong and unwavering. "We escaped their prison. Now it's time to bring the fight to them. The Calorith think they've crushed our spirit. Let's show them what a single spark can do to an empire built on fear." The prisoners' morale is at an all-time high as Elena's plan takes shape. Using the captured Calorith scout vessel, a hand-picked team prepares to infiltrate the nearest forward outpost, Hive Spire 47, a critical relay station that coordinates patrols across the sector. Elena selects her crew carefully. Coral, with his brute strength and unshakable loyalty, will lead the assault team. Salo's empathic abilities make her essential for maintaining the element of surprise. And despite his absence, Kellic's influence lingers. His tinkering has left them with modified tech capable of bypassing Calorith security systems. The mission is clear: destroy Hive Spire 47's relay network, steal supplies, and escape before reinforcements arrive. The scout vessel glides into Hive Spire 47's docking bay, its captured transponder codes fooling the Calorith sentries. The spire looms above them, a mix of organic and mechanical architecture pulsating with the eerie glow of the hive mind network. As the team disembarks, Salo whispers, "I can feel them, hundreds, maybe thousands. We'll have to move fast." Elena nods, her voice steady. "Stick to the plan. No heroics. We disable the relay and get out." The first phase of the mission goes smoothly. Using Kellic's hacked codes, the team navigates the spire's corridors, avoiding patrols and accessing restricted areas. Salo's empathic senses guide them around potential ambushes, while Coral eliminates any lone guard silently and efficiently. They reach the relay control room, a cavernous chamber filled with pulsating neural conduits. The air hums with energy, the hive mind's presence almost tangible. "This is it," Elena says, handing Coral a satchel of explosives. "Plant the charges. We'll cover you." As Coral works, Elena and Salo monitor the room's entrances. The tension is palpable. Any misstep could bring the full force of the Spire's defenders upon them. But the hive mind is not so easily deceived. A sudden ripple of awareness sweeps through the Spire, and alarms blare. The conduits in the control room light up as the hive mind attempts to reassert control. "We're out of time," Salo shouts, her empathic senses overwhelmed by the surge of hostile intent. Coral slams the final explosive into place. "Done. Let's move." The team races through the corridors as drones and guards converge on their position. Elena leads them to the Spire's supply depot, where they gather critical resources, medical kits, weaponry, and navigation data. The escape is chaotic. Calorith guards flood the docking bay, cutting off their path to the scout vessel. Elena makes a snap decision. "We'll take one of their ships instead. Bigger, faster, and armed." Coral grins. "Now you're talking." Salo hesitates. "What about the charges? If we don't detonate them, this whole mission is a failure." Elena's eyes narrow. "We'll do it remotely. But first, we need to survive." The team fights their way to a Calorith frigate, using the stolen weapons and their intimate knowledge of the Hive's vulnerabilities. Elena's leadership shines as she coordinates the attack, her orders precise and unwavering. Once aboard the frigate, Elena takes the helm, her military training allowing her to quickly override its controls. The ship's systems respond sluggishly, still linked to the hive mind, but Salo uses her abilities to disrupt the mental focus of the Calorith crew, giving them the edge they need. As the frigate lifts off, the hive mind's presence becomes oppressive. Velix Prime, sensing the danger, channels its full attention toward Hive Spire 47. Drones swarm the frigate, and the Spire's defenses light up with energy blasts. "We're sitting ducks." Coral roars, manning the frigate's weapon systems and firing wildly at the drones. Elena grimaces, her hands gripping the controls. "Salo, the charges." "Now." Salo activates the remote detonator. For a split second, nothing happens. Then, the entire spire erupts in a cataclysmic explosion. Neural conduits shatter, and a cascade of fire and debris consumes the docking bay. The drones falter mid-flight, their connection severed. The frigate rockets away, its stolen transponder scrambling the Empire's response. As the spire crumbles behind them, the team lets out a collective cheer, though the weight of their actions is not lost on them. Back in the Drelix Nebula, the prisoners greet the returning frigate with a mix of awe and relief. The supplies and data are quickly distributed, and Elena's leadership earns her further respect among the fugitives. However, the victory is bittersweet. Hive Spire 47's destruction has undoubtedly drawn the Calorith's attention, and Velix Prime's wrath will be swift and merciless. Elena gathers her key allies, Salo, Coral, and the others, to review the stolen data. Among it, they find something unexpected: blueprints for a new hive mind relay hub, designed to enhance Velix Prime's control over its forces. "If we can take this out," Elena begins, her mind racing. "It would cripple them," Salo finishes, her eyes wide. "But it's suicide. The hub is in the heart of their territory." Elena leans back, her jaw set. "Then we'd better start planning." The part ends with Elena standing before the prisoners once more, a holographic map of the Calorith core systems projected behind her. "We escaped their prison. We destroyed their spire. Now, we take the fight to their heart. This isn't just about survival anymore. This is about ending their empire." The prisoners' morale is at an all-time high as Elena's plan takes shape. Using the captured Calorith scout vessel, a hand-picked team prepares to infiltrate the nearest forward outpost, Hive Spire 47, a critical relay station that coordinates patrols across the sector. Elena selects her crew carefully. Coral, with his brute strength and unshakable loyalty, will lead the assault team. Salo's empathic abilities make her essential for maintaining the element of surprise. And despite his absence, Kellick's influence lingers. His tinkering has left them with modified tech capable of bypassing Calorith security systems. The mission is clear: destroy Hive Spire 47's relay network, steal supplies, and escape before reinforcements arrive. The scout vessel glides into Hive Spire 47's docking bay, its captured transponder codes fooling the Calorith sentries. The spire looms above them, a mix of organic and mechanical architecture pulsating with the eerie glow of the hive mind network. As the team disembarks, Salo whispers, "I can feel them, hundreds, maybe thousands. We'll have to move fast." Elena nods, her voice steady. "Stick to the plan. No heroics. We disable the relay and get out." The first phase of the mission goes smoothly. Using Kellick's hacked codes, the team navigates the spire's corridors, avoiding patrols and accessing restricted areas. Salo's empathic senses guide them around potential ambushes, while Coral eliminates any lone guards silently and efficiently. They reach the relay control room, a cavernous chamber filled with pulsating neural conduits. The air hums with energy, the hive mind's presence almost tangible. "This is it," Elena says, handing Coral a satchel of explosives. "Plant the charges. We'll cover you." As Coral works, Elena and Salo monitor the room's entrances. The tension is palpable, any misstep could bring the full force of the spire's defenders upon them. But the hive mind is not so easily deceived. A sudden ripple of awareness sweeps through the spire, and alarms blare. The conduits in the control room light up as the hive mind attempts to reassert control. "We're out of time!" Salo shouts, her empathic senses overwhelmed by the surge of hostile intent. Coral slams the final explosive into place. "Done! Let's move!" The team races through the corridors as drones and guards converge on their position. Elena leads them to the spire's supply depot, where they gather critical resources, medical kits, weaponry, and navigation data. The escape is chaotic. Calorith guards flood the docking bay, cutting off their path to the scout vessel. Elena makes a snap decision. "We'll take one of their ships instead. Bigger, faster, and armed." Coral grins. "Now you're talking." Salo hesitates. "What about the charges? If we don't detonate them, this whole mission is a failure." Elena's eyes narrow. "We'll do it remotely. But first, we need to survive." The team fights their way to a Calorith frigate, using the stolen weapons and their intimate knowledge of the hive's vulnerabilities. Elena's leadership shines as she coordinates the attack, her orders precise and unwavering. Once aboard the frigate, Elena takes the helm, her military training allowing her to quickly override its controls. The ship's systems respond sluggishly, still linked to the hive mind, but Salo uses her abilities to disrupt the mental focus of the Calorith crew, giving them the edge they need. As the frigate lifts off, the hive mind's presence becomes oppressive. Felix Prime, sensing the danger, channels its full attention toward Hive Spire 47. Drones swarm the frigate, and the spire's defenses light up with energy blasts. "We're sitting ducks!" Coral roars, manning the frigate's weapon systems and firing wildly at the drones. Elena grimaces, her hands gripping the controls. "Salo, the charges. Now!" Salo activates the remote detonator. For a split second, nothing happens. Then, the entire spire erupts in a cataclysmic explosion. Neural conduits shatter, and a cascade of fire and debris consumes the docking bay. The drones falter mid-flight, their connection severed. The frigate rockets away, its stolen transponder scrambling the Empire's response. As the spire crumbles behind them, the team lets out a collective cheer, though the weight of their actions is not lost on them. Back in the Drelix Nebula, the prisoners greet the returning frigate with a mix of awe and relief. The supplies and data are quickly distributed, and Elena's leadership earns her further respect among the fugitives. However, the victory is bittersweet. Hive Spire 47's destruction has undoubtedly drawn the Calorith's attention, and Felix Prime's wrath will be swift and merciless. Elena gathers her key allies, Salo, Coral, and the others, to review the stolen data. Among it, they find something unexpected: blueprints for a new HiveMind relay hub, designed to enhance Felix Prime's control over its forces. "If we can take this out," Elena begins, her mind racing. "It would cripple them," Salo finishes, her eyes wide. But it's suicide. The hub is in the heart of their territory. Elena leans back, her jaw set. Then we'd better start planning. The part ends with Elena standing before the prisoners once more, a holographic map of the Calorith core systems projected behind her. We escaped their prison. We destroyed their spire. Now, we take the fight to their heart. This isn't just about survival anymore. This is about ending their empire.